I just saw a new horror film released January 24th, 2025 called Presence, directed by Steven Soderbergh. I want to give a spoiler warning for this video. The story of this film is fine, a drama story, but the presence is its own character. It reacts to what's going on. We as the audience are watching the family from the perspective of the presence for the entire movie. And there's something very eerie about that. I really enjoyed the emotion given to the presence, accomplished just by the movement of the camera. This film as a whole is incredibly shot, creepy, and possibly one of the best paranormal horror stories of the year. Let's recap the film. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and I suggest you see Presence. Let me tell you why. The first 2 minutes of the film are remarkable. You immediately feel like you are in this presence POV. The scene is blue, and the way the camera is shifting from room to room make you feel trapped. It's silent besides the film score. The presence is wandering around this big, nice 2-story house. It starts from the upstairs front bedroom and goes downstairs, then back up to the bedroom again. You assume that's its whole life. The scene cuts and it's a different colored tone now. No more blue. A family is moving in. We watch movers from inside the house, moving boxes and painting the room. The bedroom that seemingly belongs to the presence is apparently understaffed. The boss coming in to complain about there only being one guy in there. Time is money, you know? And the solo painter insists his Hispanic coworker refuses to come in this specific room of the house for some reason. The family arrives and we meet them like we are there, but not at the same time. We, like the presence, don't know anything about them. And it kind of studies them. There's the mom, Rebecca, the dad, Chris, and their children, Chloe and Tyler. Tyler is a bit self-centered. This is enforced by Rebecca. Her son can do no wrong in her eyes. She isn't close with Chloe, Chris often reminding her she has 2 children. When they're touring the house, Rebecca is pushing for them to buy it. Chloe doesn't say one word about it. She hasn't said one word. She is drawn to an old mirror in the living room, and the presence looks at her, and she looks at us. Chris then encourages her to go upstairs to look at her room, and us as the presence immediately follow her. In it, there is always a dark figure in the corner. It's slight, but it's there. Chloe sees it a lot from the minute she steps in the house. The presence also likes to go in the closet. When Chloe walks up to the closet, she senses the presence and calls out the name, Nadia. Downstairs, the mother is on the phone. She's into shady business. She then goes inside. She likes to drink wine at night and get uncomfortably close to Tyler, literally telling him no one in the world has ever been more important to her than him. Upstairs, Chloe sits in her bed and is bawling her eyes out. The presence watches her cry and then sleep. It definitely has some sort of connection to Chloe, even closing her bedroom door for her when her back is turned. When Chloe's in the shower, the presence explores her room, putting her books neatly on her desk for her. We as the presence then look at an old picture of Chloe with an old friend, and it's captioned, Nadia. This is her best friend that died recently, and the reason she cries at night. When Chloe comes out the shower, she notices her stuff has been moved and shouts in a panic. Chris rushes in, worried, asking what happened. She timidly answers nothing. Chris asks Rebecca's opinion as Chloe has barely spoken a word, not to mention the death of 2 kids recently. So there hasn't been just Nadia that died. Rebecca brushes it off, more focused on Tyler's swim season this year. She lazily suggests they change Chloe's medication. Tyler brings his school friend Ryan over and introduces him to Chloe, to which he immediately takes a liking. Chloe brings him home sometime later, and Ryan warns Chloe her brother has a mean streak. Chloe scoffing, Tyler? No way. They end up eating edibles that Ryan brought. He says he has all the good stuff and is like the stoner kid, it seems. He asks if she was friends with Nadia and what she has been feeling since she died. Chloe says no one asks her about it and opens up to him. What she describes kind of sounds like what it'd be to actually be the presence. So her and the presence are kind of both feeling a loss of some sort. They relate in some way. Obviously, something bad has happened to the presence. Chloe also says that she can feel Nadia there in the house with her, talking about the presence she's been feeling. She quickly assumes this to be her dead best friend Nadia. They lay on the bed while Ryan strokes her hair, asking Chloe how she thinks it felt, and she asks exactly what he means. Very lit at this point, unable to fully focus on what he is saying. Ryan goes into a depressed state, it seems, saying he's worthless, he is nothing and has control over nothing. He mentions his mother and a tear drops from his face. He pulls Chloe close again and says anything they do will be in her control. She is in control no matter what, and they start kissing. The presence, seeing all this, knocks everything hanging in the closet onto the floor. Chloe jumps up, going over to investigate, and feels it there. The presence then blows air right in her face, scaring her. The presence watches Chris go outside to call someone for help on your spouse doing shady stuff, questioning a separation. He's sad his family can't seem to get it together. The presence is also unable to go outside, it seems, as we stay inside and watch Chris talk outside from the window. At dinner, Chloe is telling her family that there is something in their house. Things have been moving around right in front of her, she says. Her mother scoffs. Things moving around? Tyler gets upset. The attention is once again on his sister's mental health issues. He refers to her dead friend, yelling that just because she's going through something doesn't mean they all have to. This sending Chloe into a rage, and Chris, upset now, exclaims, "You will not live like this," causing Chloe to cry even harder and Tyler to storm off upstairs, with Rebecca chasing him to make sure he's okay. The camera then glides around the room swiftly as the presence focuses on each character's reaction to the family fight. The presence own reaction kinda also being important here. We're then watching Tyler and Chris talk in the living room. Chris says he should be nicer to his sister. Tyler reasons with his father, telling him her friend Nadia died because of drugs and now she's acting out. So she's probably doing the same stuff and will probably end up just like her. Chris tells Tyler there's an amazing man in there and he'd like to see him sometime, leaving it at that. We are now watching the family in the living room. Chloe is being almost completely ignored by Rebecca. She begins picking at her nails, drawing blood. While Rebecca is regaled with a story Tyler is telling her about a girl at school whose nude photos managed to get on some of the guys' phones. It's even been posted online, and Tyler finds it hilarious. Chris and Chloe discussed it. Rebecca just smiles. Chloe hears a strange high-pitched noise coming from nowhere. She asks if anyone else hears it, and they don't. Tyler makes fun of his sister in the middle of telling his story, Rebecca chuckling. Tyler now cracking up at the poor girl from their school. Chloe yells that he is the one who posted her nude photo, and then the presence rushes upstairs to his bedroom, knocking over everything in sight, from his desk to his walls. It messes with the lights. Everything is being thrown around and ruined. The family rushes up, petrified. Everyone except for Chloe. She stands in the middle of the room, trying to embrace who she thinks is her dead friend Nadia. The next scene is actually quite hilarious. As we watch from inside the house, family is outside trying to decide what they should do. Tyler thinks his sister has completely lost her mind and is pissed they're even listening to her about the Nadia stuff. Rebecca smokes a cig and says nothing. Chris goes off on Tyler, finally standing up for Chloe, then takes a puff of Rebecca's cig. He puffs and stares into the window for what seems like 2 whole minutes. It appears he may actually see something inside their house. Chris calls the realtor, whose sister-in-law is somewhat psychic, and she may be able to take a look around their house. The psychic and her husband come by. The presence immediately looks at her and her at us from the window. She knows something is there already. When the family opens the front door for the woman, the presence rushes in her face, making itself known. The woman is visibly shaken and takes a second to catch her breath before actually coming into the house. The psychic looks around and gets the same eerie feeling from the mirror as Chloe did. It has some old dust that is cemented on it or something. It looks really old. She then looks directly at the presence, aka us, almost the entire time she's talking to the family. The only time she isn't is when she's talking to Chloe. She says the word blue all of a sudden, and that made me think of the opening shot of the film. Blue is also Chloe's middle name. The psychic puts her hand on the mirror, and while looking at the presence, she says it is suffering, like you are, Chloe, and it doesn't even know who it is or when it is. The woman's husband explains someone can see or do something so damaging they get stuck and in a way are unable to move on. It's a very odd scene. The psychic says she loves old mirrors because they're like old people. They've seen a lot, so they know a lot. Tyler gets upset now that this woman is reinforcing his sister's madness and lashes out. Rebecca refuses the woman ever to come back to their home. Ryan and Chloe are now having sex in her room. The presence hides its eyes, turning away from them on the bed toward the inside of the closet. Chloe asks for something to drink, not alcohol, just juice or something, while she goes in the shower. He goes to get it and comes back into the room with 2 cups of OJ. While she is in the shower, we see him slip drugs in one of the cups. She comes out, and before she can get to the juice, The presence shakes the entire table, spilling the whole glass. Ryan lays with Chloe and reminds her again that she's in control and tells her that he might be in love with her. He also wants to spend more time with her, as it seems they only do it here. She says okay and that her parents are going out of town for a work trip so he can spend the night, but she's worried about her brother knowing. Ryan reminds her brother likes to party and everything will be fine. He will take care of everything. The psychic tries to come back, telling Chris about a dream she recently had. She can't come inside, but before she's rushed off, she confirms something is in their house and to watch out for the window. The parents go on their trip and Tyler starts the night off by blasting music and laying out his mom's booze. Ryan arrives and suggests he makes the drinks. He spikes Tyler's with more drugs from his pockets and he is soon knocked out cold. Ryan then takes out a black little device from his backpack, makes 2 more drinks, and heads up to Chloe's room. There she's on the bed and he comes to her with the news her brother has been knocked out so they can enjoy their night together. Chloe is confused and begins to get nervous, admitting to Ryan she doesn't feel comfortable with this. Ryan pauses and asks if he's done something wrong. He looks really sad. Chloe, seeing he's upset, gets nervous and says he did nothing wrong. Instead, she blames herself. It is her that something bad has happened to and is happening to. It's all her. He continues how he messed up, how he made a mistake, how he is nothing. She further comforts him while he just quietly requests they at least drink their drinks and talk. She obliges and soon cannot sit up straight. He reveals it was fentanyl he put in her drink. Now he's the one in control, he says. Chloe's eyes are closed. She cannot move a muscle. He lays on top of her and pulls out his black device, opening it and rolls out some plastic wrap, talking to Chloe's half-conscious body in a psychotic state, going over the specifics of the plastic wrap size in grave detail. He sounds like he's done this before. Ryan then places a piece of plastic over Chloe's mouth and nose so she is unable to breathe now. He continues monologuing in a psychotic rage that when she's dead, it will look like it was her fault, just like the other 2, he claims. It will look like there's drugs in her system, just like Nadia, he says. Meaning Nadia's death was no drug overdose. She and the other student were killed by Ryan, the school druggie with depression and psychotic issues. The presence is watching all of this, making loud, muffled noises right in Ryan's face in some sort of attack, but it does nothing. It clearly wants to do something, but is limited in what it can actually do. With Chloe almost dead, the presence takes action. We follow it downstairs in a panic, where it finds Tyler. It continuously flicks on the lights and makes whatever noises it can to wake him up. With a lot of effort, more muffled noises, and a mustered up scream of a woman coming from the presence, it finally wakes Tyler up. He immediately sprints upstairs, calling out for Chloe. We follow him into her room as he yells for Ryan to get off his sister, tackling him out the window. And Ryan and Tyler both die. The color tone of the film slightly changes again, and it almost feels like a completely new perspective. The family's moving out of the house. Rebecca being the last to exit, she stands in her old living room. She then goes around to the old mirror where she sees her favorite child's ghostly reflection in it. She screams loudly and passes out to the floor as what's left of her family comes to pick her up. I don't think we're in the same presence anymore. I think the movie ends in Tyler's POV. I think he is the new presence, and he is now stuck to wander the house. The last shot of the film is when, for the very first time in the film, we are taken out of the house. Perhaps this is the previous presence, spirit, finally parting with the house and resting at peace.